Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're answering another question. It is to do with the bridges on imprints, so I thought this would be a good one to do so you can explore different ways to do it. This one is from a lady called Jenny. It's on a Facebook group, so not directly to me, but I quite liked the question and her thought process, so I thought I'd cover that. So Jenny has asked, how do I create a waffle web support base rather than a support bridge? She wants to make more complex designs and she hasn't been able to figure out how to add this type of support. So here's the design that we'll be making. I am just going to re-sketch it. So if you guys want to sketch it with me, you can do. So we're going to start by making a 100 by 100 square. Okay, and set in a middle line, and that's top to bottom, right to left. Okay, and now we create a circle. I want to say this circle, I did it by 70, I think, 70. Okay, we're going to create these little petal bits next. So top of the line, so let's have a quick look at 35, so 20, so leaves a 15 gap. Oh, that was not the arc tool. Let me get the arc tool. Mirror that. Get rid of that. Now, as you can see, this line in the petal's a little bit thick. I think I did actually commit that little line, so I'll get rid of that. Fine. Create circular pattern. And by all means, if you guys have got your own imprint, that's absolutely fine. You can skip this. So I'll set that to 4. And I just need to do these lines and curve next. There will be something else I'll be adding to the cutter design, but I'm going to wait until I've resized it. So add that line, create circular pattern 4, and then the fillet here, which I've got a keyboard shortcut of Shift and F. If you haven't set up keyboard shortcuts and to save from going to the menu, if you use the S button, S for Sierra, it brings up a little pop-up. So if you're in Sketch, you'll bring up common sketch tools, but you can also search, and again, same with Surface as well and Solids. So if we want to just search, be the fillet, I set these at 15. Perfect. So what we will be doing, we'll be adding a little extra. I'll be putting in a 2mm line, but I'm going to wait until I've resized it. So we're going to do this in a way where I am going to cover how I would naturally set a bridge. The waffle, which I believe is like a grid, maybe Jenny means. If that's incorrect, please let me know, Jenny. And then also a web. So I will set this one to say 0.5. That's 5 centimeters because I started with 10. Let's set this at 0.45 W 0.4. I'm going to move them up close together. Okay, so I'm just going to set my 2mm inset one because I want that to be an imprint 2. So 2, 2. Okay, so these are my basic sketches. There's no bridge marks. So how I would naturally do my next one, I would maybe use these lines here. So I'd say 5mm this way, -5. Actually, yeah, we're going to do it 2 different ways that I would do mine. And so that one, I'm not going to set any offsets, okay? So let's go back to this one. So over offset, let's make it 4mm this way, -4. 4 millimeters this way, -4. So what I'm checking here is that everything's supported. So we've got these little leaf-like shapes. We've got the circle has supports, the lines have support. So I am just going to get rid of a couple of extra lines. I'm going to leave the imprint lines in, but if the bridge is connected, it's less extrusion for me. So that's one way. Okay, so I'm going to set the offsets of the cutters. I'm going to set in these two ready, but I know we haven't set up the bridges in any ways. So they're all 1 millimeter and 3 millimeters here. Okay. So what we're going to offset first, not offset, imprint first. Fab. So I'm going to do these lines 10.5 millimeters tall. Shift and T for thicken. Have I dropped this out? No, for some reason you didn't select, so 0.3. And I'm making it symmetric. So that is set in there. I'm going to also make these 10.5, and I'm going to set the same ones, and I'm going to make sure it's join. I'm going to extrude, so a solid extrude, which is keyboard shortcut E. So 10.5, join, and then lastly, this one is my last imprint one. I'm not going to make this symmetric. I'm going to make this a minus 0.6 because I want it to go inside and one side. Join. Okay, so I've got my imprints. I've got no support. If I was to use this, like, it could be quite weak. So we're going to go back to the extrude lines, and we're just going to hide this body for now. So I'm going to say I'm going to have these as my support. I'm making them 2 millimeters tall, and I'm also going to make this circle 2 millimeters. I'm going to turn the body back on and Shift and T. We're going to go to the line. So I'm going to say I want it 4 millimeters either side, same as this one. Click join, and then I'm going to do my circle one. So to say 4 millimeters one side, I think is fine for this circle, but I want it inside. Oh, -4, join. Okay, and I might do the same to this square because that looks like it could be a little weak. So let's just make you 2 millimeters, turn the body back on, Shift and T, -2, join. And there it is. We haven't done our walls yet, but you can see it's quite strongly supported. Okay, so we're going to set this one up. And T, 0.44 is going to be a sharp edge. Join. E for extrude brings up the solid extrusion there. 10, because these are sharp edge cutters I'm making. Join. E for extrude. 3, join. So that cutter is now fully done, and that is set with no offsets making the bridge supports, but using the extrude. So the other way is we've set up our offsets here. Like we've discovered on this one, we'd actually want to offset a bit more. We want the circle and the square. So we're going to go back to sketch, so edit sketch, and we're going to set them in. So O for offset, we said, right, because this is already an offset, we've got to break that. So constraints. So it's this little T shape here. So delete that. O for offset, -4. Was it -4? we'll go with it. Over offset -4. So we got, let me just finish this for now. So if I wanted to extrude this, there would be a lot of clicking here. So let me show you to begin with. Let's get our surface ones in. Not that. So 10.5, shift and T, 0.3 symmetric. Okay, and then these ones here. Shift and T. Let me just get them from down here. Join. Eve extrude. Because I have set a lot for the bridges, I'm having to cut every section. So I'm just going to do these two, and then I'll show you another way then. So if you're just making the one cutter one size, that would probably be fine. It's not going to save you any time doing it. But if you're resizing a cutter, what you want to do is get rid of as many excess lines as we can. So for example, we know this area, this area, this area, this area, they're all one bridge, but we need this line here. But we can get rid of this. Oh no, we can't get rid of that one. We can get rid of trim this, 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 this. We need that one because that acts as an imprint. We can get rid of this. We can get rid of that. Because it's kind of time consuming, which is why I don't tend to do the offset way that much. But let's just quickly finish this one. So I'm not going to talk you too much through it. I'm just going to show you because it's, not a way that I would do too often. It's how I started off, but it was when I found the surface extrude, and that did help a lot. So -0.6 inside, join. So I'm just going to select all these bridge areas here. So as you can see, by using the other method where you're just extruding and thickening lines, there's a lot less clicking to do because you're not having to trim lines or select so many places for extrusion. There we go. And again, the same here. So 12mm tall, shift and T thicken, 0.7. Oh no, 0.44, we're doing sharp edge one, 0.44, maybe not 44mm, hey, 0.44, shine. Eve extrude, do the support wall, 10mm tall is how I do mine, Eve extrude, 3. So we got same results, so that was just using the extrude tool there. This is offsetting your lines beforehand. Okay, so now we're going to go on to, first of all, the webbing design. So we're going to go back to sketch for this one. We're going to take these ones a little bit slower because they're different ways of doing it. So, now we've got this sketch here. I've had a little think about for these, and what I think, if you want a grid or a web imprint, you probably want to do that as a different sketch. So watch this and you'll see why. So we're going to do a create sketch, hit the plane. Okay, as you can see, the existing sketch has become a little bit clearer. So we're going to use the project tool. So that is keyboard shortcut project, or like I said, if you do the shortcut and just go to project. Okay, so what we're going to do is select what we want to project. So this middle line here, I deliberately want it to be a bit bigger than the cutter, and you will see why in a bit. And again, no, we're only doing this one for the moment. Okay, so that has made a project line. Now that's not a sketch line. Okay, to turn it into a sketch line, cover it, and then what you want is a break link. So as you can see, it's now become blue. So what we want to do, we want to figure out places where webbing is going to most support this. So I'm just going to draw a line up, and then I'm going to use a circular pattern, use a center tool, and I think about 8 makes sense because it covers most of these areas. So we've got 8 lines. I do need to extend some because I need to cover all. Okay, I'm going to finish that sketch. So that sketch, you can see it's got 2 sketches that's slightly darker in this particular area. I am just going to hide that sketch for the moment because we don't want to overcomplicate ourselves. We're just going to work off the first one. So again, we're just selecting all our lines. So 10.5, Shift and T, 3, and symmetric. I'm just going to whiz down this. So I'll hold my control button, click on the next one, then keeping control hidden down, just be pressing the down button on my keyboard. Click OK. So extrude these to 10.5. So join, and this one to 10.5. And Shift and T, and this is a minus 0.6 inwards. So join one side. Okay, I'm just going to turn this body off for now. That's not the right body. This is the right body. And we're going to make that sketch empty and turn back to this one. So we're just going to, I'm actually going to add a little bit more to this one because she did say webbing. So not kind of star shape. Just going to add a couple of circles. Okay, let me just turn this on. That's again the wrong body. This is the correct one. Right, fab. So we don't have this cutter sketch on. This is just what I'm going to call the imprint sketch. Okay, so we're going to extend all these. And say we only want them 2mm tall because they're imprint widgets, they're not the actual imprints. And then Shift and T. And let's say we want them, because there's more lines than the others, I don't think they need to be as supported. Let's see how we feel. So flex his body on. Okay. Oh, why did I do that? Right. Okay, so Shift and T. I'm just going to do the lines then because I think the circles need to be a little thicker. Right, 0.6, symmetric, 1mm either side. Okay. Oh, I put one of them on. Great. Let's flick this on. That's fine. So Shift and T. We're going to pull this one 2mm, but one side, and join. So, let me not join it for now because we've done the 2 bodies different. So new body. So what we're going to do at this point, we are going to highlight some more because we've got 3 bodies worth, and we're going to go to solid, combine. Okay. So now we're going to turn sketch 1 back on. Okay, as you can see, this is why I told you to use a middle line so the extrusions come on. Don't worry, we can cut them off. In order to save yourself from getting confused, I would just turn sketch 2 off, and we're just going to use extrude to cut off this excess. So we're going to click on that, click on this just in case there's any extra. 12 and cut, perfect. And surface 12, Shift and T, 0.44, join, E for extrude, 10, join, E for extrude 3. So there you go, we have got that one. So that is a cutter with a more webbing design. So just a quick recap, let me just turn this body off for now. So we've got 2 sketches. One is just the cutter with the offsets, then the other is to do with the supports. So the reason why I did them as separate sketches is just because it would be a lot to try to figure out whether that was an imprint line or not. So to keep them a little bit separate makes it a bit easier. So again, we're similar for this, but this time this is a grid or waffle, she said. So I'm assuming that's like a grid-like design. But Jenny, please let me know if I'm wrong. So it's a new sketch again. P for reject. Again, we're selecting this middle line here because we want it to run bigger. By all means, you can run the outside line too, but to save yourself a little bit more work and having to extend and stuff like that, and just pick bigger than your cutter. Okay, so we are projecting that. We're covering it, right click, break link. There we go. So we're just going to run a line right through the middle. And again, through the middle this way. We're just going to trim off the extra ready. I'm going to leave the faint sketch on in the background, but it is faint as it's not this active sketch. So I'm just going to figure out roughly where I want it. So 10 that way seems good. Minus 10, fab. I'm using the offset, so 10 minus 10. So that looks like it'll give it pretty decent support then using this grid-like waffle way. So let's go back, and this is the third sketch. We'll take that off. We just finish the sketch and then take it off. And let's start our extrusion. So surface, we'll get all these lines. So 10.5, shift and T thicken, 0.3 metric, and then drag them all down. E for extrude for a solid extrude, just click these shapes in here. 10.5. Fine. This extrude, 10.5, shift and T, minus 0.6 and one side. Join. There, our imprints are done, and we need to start making our bridges. So we're just going to turn that body on, turn that sketch on, turn sketch one off, and we're going to get rid of this body for now. Okay, so let us just highlight these. So 2 millimeters tall, shift and T, see what they look like at 2 millimeters symmetric, is it? So they're pretty chunky. Let me just maybe make them 1.5. There we go. Let me flick this body on. Yep, that looks fine. And there we go. That's already joined. We don't have to combine it later because I turn the body back on. Okay, so I can hide sketch 3 because that's no longer needed. Turn back on sketch 1. So I need to use extrude, get rid of the excess. And then extrude 12. Oh, so that's a thin extrude there, so that one there. 0.44. One side join. E for extrude for solid extrusion. 10 join. E for extrude 3 join. Okay, so that is now made. Let me just turn these other 2 bodies back on. Okay, so just to recap, this is where we put in some extension lines there that we knew that we'd need, set in a border, and we used, sorry, that did not make sense. So this for the imprint bridges is where we used the surface extrude and thickened them. It allowed us to keep the sketch as simple as possible without adding in extra lines. It also allowed us to use a pre-existing shapes that imprinters for the most part, and that was set up. This is where we'd set offsets to it. As you can see, there was a fair bit of either clicking to extrude it, or you'd have to trim a lot and hope to not trim the incorrect amount, and it can become a little bit confusing as to what you are using as an imprint and what is a bridge. And then these two were made using two separate sketches. So one sketch for the cutter bodies. Let me just get rid of bodies for a minute. Okay, so one sketch where we just had the imprint, and then we would make a second sketch just for the imprint bridges. And then we would combine the bodies, and you would be able to do different designs, and so like a webbing or like a grid-like design. So you can decide, what makes more sense for you, your type of printer, what you find best to handle, change the imprint's amount. But you can make imprints pretty much with any shape, with any amount of lines there. So if you want to keep it quite minimalistic and not do any bridge lines, you've got that option. If you want to keep it all in one sketch, you can do that. If you want to do two separate ones for the bridges, one for the actual imprints, that could keep things a bit easier as to what you're imprinting or not. But otherwise, that is today's question. Jenny, please let me know if that did not answer your question, if that's not what you're asking. Or if you've got any more questions, well, please let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.